Hello, and welcome to another edition of Coffee Talk with immigration attorney Brian D. Lerner. I'd like to talk in this video about procedurally how can you come to the U.S. with an investment and essentially start your own business. It's a basically a work visa. It's a very nice visa, but it does require a certain investment. Now, whenever I bring this option to my clients, the first thing they say is, well, I don't have $500,000 or $1 million in order to do this investment to become an entrepreneur and start my own business. And I let them know this is a different visa. This is not the EB-5 investment visa. Now, if you happen to have 500,000 to $1 million, I have a lot of other videos on that subject on the EB-5 in order to apply directly for the green card. But for those that don't, they have what's called the E2 visa. Now, the E2 isn't for everybody around the world. It's only for people who come from countries who have a treaty with the United States. Sometimes these treaties are relatively new, sometimes they're 100 years old. But in any event, the treaty itself allows the person to come into the U.S. with 50 to 100,000 U.S. dollars, start their own business, and then essentially it can be renewed every 2, 3 years, periodically, whenever the status would be ready to expire, and then you can continually renew it over and over and over again until you either get the green card based upon applying for the green card, or uh, until you die, or until you leave the United States. Any one of those will work. So it's a very nice visa because there's no limit on it. Now, people will usually ask me, well, what kind of business will qualify for an E2 visa? The door's wide open. Whatever you want to do, it is wide open. You could buy a 7-Eleven, a Jack in the Box, a Kentucky Fried Chicken. You could start your own mom and pop selling store. You could buy a 99-cent store. You could make a branch office of selling English fly fish hooking to customers. You could be a tourist industry. You could be a telephone operator giving consultations on engineering questions. It doesn't matter, whatever it is that you want to do. I have people who come and say, well, what if I want to do this, but then I want to expand and do that in the future? That's fine, as long as it's set up correctly. Obviously, if the E2 says 100% you're going to be uh, doing accounting work, let's say, and then you branch out and you start selling widgets, that would not be allowed if it wasn't put in the original business plan and the original E2 petition, or unless you received an amendment. Now, when I prepare the E2s, I, I, I want it on the table. I say, what is it you want to do? What is it you're going to do? What is it you're going to expand to do? And so in that previous example, I would say, okay, the client is going to start out as an accounting firm, but then when 1 year passes, maybe 2 years pass, they're going to expand and they're going to start selling widgets, and then maybe they're going to contract their services out to other accounting firms. It's a great way to come into the U.S. because I'm sure many of you have noticed that when you apply for a job, whether you have a bachelor's degree, master's degree, and they might seem interested in you, and then you start the conversation continuing by saying, by the way, I need you to petition me for an H-1B or an O-1. And they say, oh, you don't have legal status in the U.S. Well, we'll keep you in mind, thanks, goodbye. Well, with an E2, you're not under that pressure because you come into the United States on an E2, you start your own business, and your business could be to contract your services out to different companies. So if you have 2 companies or 3 companies that need your services, um, you come in on the E2 first, you declare on the E2 business plan what it is you're going to do, and then when you apply for that job, you don't have to ask for a work permit because it's part of the E2 business. Okay, it's a great way of being able to come in and produce more work and to not have to wait outside the United States for years. So there's several different ways of preparing the E2 or different items in it. We need the business plan, which shows a good few year outlook of how the business is going to do. We need all the incorporation documents, and we need the actual E2 business plan or petition itself. So once all that's done, we do not have to get prior U.S. approval of the E2. That's another great item in this particular visa. We can send it directly to the U.S. consulate in the country where you live. They'll pre-adjudicate it. They'll let me know when they're ready for an interview for you to come in, and then we go from there. Okay, more on the coming videos. Thank you.